The pod hit Oryx 3 like a clenched fist into mud. Metal screamed. Dirt surged around the capsule as it dug a crater into the planet's cracked surface. Rhea Voss hung upside down, blood pooling behind her eyes. Systems inside the pod sparked and failed, then silence, except for the shriek of wind battering the hull. She released the restraints and dropped to the floor, booted feet hitting hard. Her helmet display flickered, recalibrated, and fed her the stats. Atmosphere, unbreathable. Radiation, contained. Barely. Life signs, none. Mission status, unassigned. Typical. She grabbed the survival pack and kicked open the emergency hatch. The door gave with a groan, revealing a sky filled with ash-colored clouds, veined in purple lightning. The air outside shimmered with static and dust. Far on the horizon, jagged silhouettes of ruined terraforming towers stood like ancient bones, half buried in shifting soil. She stepped out, breath steady behind her rebreather. Welcome to nowhere. Rhea moved fast. Daylight on Oryx 3 was brief and deceptive. Heat waves during the day gave way to sub-zero temperatures by dusk. She scanned the area and marked a path toward the closest wreckage she'd seen during descent. With the pod useless, she needed shelter, elevation, and data. The ground was brittle. Every step crunched through dry sediment and glassy rock. By the time she reached the half-collapsed structure, wind had stripped the top layer of dust from her boot. It had once been a research hub, now it was a tomb. Inside, shattered screens blinked faint warnings in half-dead script. A blood-stained datapad rested on a desk, message still frozen on screen. Drevik abandoned us. No evac. If anyone finds this, don't trust command. Rhea stared at the name. Drevik. She'd suspected the reassignment had nothing to do with a clerical error. Now she was certain. He'd buried other soldiers here before. She wasn't the first. Just the most inconvenient. Didn't expect me to walk away either, did you? She salvaged what she could. Solar cells, a thermal knife, 3 cans of nutrient paste. Enough to last maybe 2 weeks. Less if she moved too much. At the center of the ruin, she found the central hub's power coil. Still functional, just barely. She dragged it outside and staked it to the ground, facing the open sky. The beacon light hummed to life, pulsing a single red signal through the atmosphere. Distress call active, her HUD confirmed. But no one would come. She didn't activate it for help. She activated it for history. When they eventually checked the records, they'd see the timestamp. They'd know she survived the first day. She built a crude shelter beside the beacon using the twisted remains of the tower, tarpaulin from her pack, and ceramic plating scavenged from the pod. It wouldn't stop a storm, but it'd block radiation. Night fell like a curtain, abrupt, cold, absolute. Stars refused to shine through the charged clouds. A deep rumble echoed from the north. Earthquake? Or something moving underground? She didn't sleep. She reviewed old battle logs, mapped a perimeter, and set motion alert. Every few minutes, the wind would shift and sand would ping off her tarp. In the quiet between, she could hear her heart. Not racing. Steady. Cold. On the second day, she explored the valley beyond the crash site. The terrain had a spine, ridge lines crossing in uneven veins. Perfect for setting up choke points. Even if no enemies came, wildlife might. Nothing that had killed 3 colonization attempts could be harmless. By midday, she found remains of another drop pod, older, scorched black. Inside, the body of a man slumped over a rusted crate. She didn't look away. Not out of respect, out of intent. His uniform was Terran Navy. No insignia. They'd sent him the same way they sent her, disposable. She removed his dog tags, pocketed them. There was another message scrawled on the inner wall of the pod in burnt grease. This planet eats heroes. Not today, she said quietly. That night, something scraped across the rocks near her shelter. She froze, hand on her pistol. A low hiss echoed, followed by the sound of metal shifting. She waited. It passed. The next morning, she found claw marks in the dust, deep gouges too sharp to be weather. Whatever lived out here had talons. She reinforced the shelter, set trap, dug shallow pits and lined them with scrap and jagged wire. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make something bleed. Survival was no longer a question. She was preparing for war. By the end of the 4th day, she had a makeshift command post built around the original beacon. Solar plates fed into a microgenerator, powering her gear. She activated the long-range signal relay and routed it to a loop broadcast. Lieutenant Commander Rhea Voss. Alive. Holding territory. You sent me to die. This is your last mistake. No encryption. She wanted Drevik to hear it. She needed him to. That night, she climbed to the top of the highest ridge she'd marked and drove a steel rod into the ground. From it, she hung a Terran banner, cut from the remains of her flight jacket, crudely painted with the old Earth sigil, a blue marble streaked with gold stars. It flapped in the wind like defiance. Beneath it, she stacked the dog tags she'd collected. Not trophies. Memorials. The first entry in the ledger of her new command. 6 days after arrival, Rhea Voss stood atop the ridge and surveyed the ruined valley below. In her HUD, she marked every point of interest, every shadow, every anomaly. This planet wasn't dead. It was waiting. And so was she. Let them come. Alien, human, command squad, it didn't matter. This was her planet now. And she was going to make sure they never forgot that. The 6th night brought the storm. Not wind, not dust, but sound. A low-frequency hum rolled across the valley like a heartbeat amplified through the bones of the world. Rhea jolted awake, pulse on edge. Her shelter rattled, but held. She crept outside with her rifle in hand, scanning the dark horizon. The sound wasn't natural. It pulsed with precision, 3 beats, pause. 3 more. Then silence. She activated her scanner. No movement. No heat. Just static, climbing steadily. Then her motion alert chirped, soft, brief. She pivoted, weapon raised. A shape stood 50 meters away, half hidden behind a cracked spire of stone. Humanoid. Still. Watching. Identify yourself. Rhea shouted, voice cutting through the wind. No response. She took a step forward, eyes locked. Then it moved, jerky, broken, like a puppet with frayed strings. It turned and disappeared into the rocks without a sound. She didn't chase it. Not yet. Instead, she replayed the footage from her helmet feed. Frame by frame. The figure's joints were too sharp, too symmetrical. No organic gait. No suit compression hisses. Synthetic. A drone. But not Terran. That confirmed it. Someone else was here. She broke down camp by dawn, relocated 2 kilometers northeast, near a shattered communications tower buried beneath collapsed stone. It offered high ground, narrow access points, easier to defend. The more she moved, the more signs she found. Boot prints in ash that didn't match her own, energy residue near an old fusion core, a campfire long cold but clearly deliberate. She wasn't alone. By the 10th day, she had names. Not official ones. Labels. Wanderers. The silent watchers that hovered at the edge of her sensors. Always just out of reach. Always watching. The caller. The signal, pulsing from deep beneath the southern ridge, growing louder each day. The ghost. The transmission she caught only once, garbled and distorted. Human words in a cracked voice. Don't trust them. She adjusted her beacon signal, switched it from distress to a warning. Hostile forces present. Proceed with caution. Rhea Voss holding Sector 3. Do not engage unless authorized. It wasn't protocol. But then, neither was her mission. On day 12, the first confrontation came. A black shape broke the ridgeline at twilight, moving fast. Rhea took position near her 3rd fallback point, rifle aimed through a scope calibrated for movement, not heat. The shape advanced, hunched low, silent. It triggered a tripwire. The blast knocked it off its feet. She emerged and circled around, rifle leveled. What lay in the dirt wasn't what she expected. It wasn't alien. It was a man. Human. bleeding from his shoulder. Half-conscious, wearing old recon gear with no insignia. Rhea knelt beside him, weapon still raised. "Who sent you?" He coughed blood. "Didn't send me. Escaped." "From what?" He blinked up at her. "You think this place is dead? It's growing. Below. We didn't terraform it. It terraformed us." She stared at him. "You're saying the planet's alive?" "No. Worse. It's aware." He passed out. She dragged him back to camp, stabilized the wound. Gave him a painkiller, water, wrapped his shoulder. He came to slowly, eyes darting. "You're Voss," he croaked. She nodded. "Who are you?" "Thorn. Ex-Intel. One of the first. Recon Squad 9? Before that. I was here before Drevik covered it up. Before he told Command it was a failed rock." Rhea sat back, watching him. "Why the silence?" she asked. "Because it's not just a dead planet. It's a trap. Something down there. Something old. It feeds on mind, memory. The longer you stay, the more it learns. The more it copies." She frowned. "Copies? You ever see something that looked like you, moved like you, but off?" She remembered the figure from the sixth night. The stuttered movements, the watching silence. Thorn continued. "They call them echoes. They come after the mind breaks. And Command knows?" He laughed bitter. "They sent us here to die. Quietly. One by one. No reports. No evidence." Rhea's jaw clenched. "Not anymore." That night, she took the dog tag she'd recovered and etched a new one, Thorn's name, scratched with the edge of her knife. He wouldn't die nameless, even if he didn't make it. But he did. By morning, he was sitting up, scanning the perimeter, eyes sharp again. "You've held out longer than anyone else," he said. "I don't die easy," Rhea replied. He looked at her flag, still flapping in the wind on the ridge. "You declared war?" "No. I declared survival." He nodded. "Then it's time to start planning the counteroffensive." Together, they mapped the underground network Thorn remembered, access tunnels the first teams had used to reach the geothermal core. Whatever the caller was, it pulsed from there. That's where the echoes came from, where the answers lay. It was also likely where Drevik's secrets were buried. They would go together. But not yet. First, they had to finish building the fortress. By the 15th day, the site wasn't just a camp, it was a stronghold. Auto turrets powered by salvaged drone cores. Trip mines along the ridges. Sensor nets calibrated to non-Terran frequencies. Every piece of metal became defense. Every ruined module became purpose. "Why are you still fighting?" Thorn asked her once, late at night, as they stood beneath a purple sky. Rhea didn't look at him. "Because they tried to erase us. Like we were a mistake. Like we didn't matter." She turned toward the wind. "I'm here to make damn sure the next person who tries remembers our names." Thorn nodded slowly. "Then let's give them a reason to remember." Dawn came like a bruise. Violet streaks across a pale sky, cold wind dragging dust across the rock. Rhea tightened the straps on her suit, double-checked her gear, then glanced at Thorn. He was silent, eyes on the horizon. "You ready?" she asked. "Ready's not the word," he muttered. "But I'm going anyway." They descended before the sun cleared the ridge. The shaft lay hidden beneath a collapsed monitoring station. Rhea had uncovered it 3 days earlier, tucked beneath rubble and corrosion. Now, with the access panel pried open, it yawned like a throat, metal edges rusted, blackness beyond. They dropped in with ropes, each footstep echoing down through silence and stale air. The walls were lined with dead lights, broken screens, graffiti left by long-forgotten squads. Names, dates, warnings in jagged scrawl. "Do not listen. Mirror selves lie. Seal the black." "Comforting," Thorn said, sweeping his flashlight. "Keep moving," Rhea replied. The tunnel sloped, then turned sharply left. Soon, the tech shifted, cleaner lines, newer panels, fresh wiring. This wasn't human-made. Or if it was, it had been rewritten. Then they heard it again. The pulse. 3 deep notes. Pause. Repeat. It reverberated through the walls. Feels like it's under my skin, Thorn whispered. They moved slower now. Downward. Deeper. Past broken drones, shattered visors, half-melted boots still occupied by bone. Finally they reached the door. It was massive, a circular hatch sealed by interlocking gears. Alien script ran along the rim. Not written, but etched into the metal like veins. Rhea touched the surface. It was warm. It's not a lock, Thorn said. It's a warning. Too late for that. She twisted the manual override. With a groan, the hatch uncoiled and slid open. Inside was silence. The chamber was spherical, walls of polished stone veined with black glass, a central spire humming faintly. The caller. It wasn't a machine. It was a living structure, roots of obsidian branching from a metallic core, pulsing faintly in rhythm with the beat. Around it stood the remains of the first crew, 12 suits still standing upright, fused to the ground by what looked like crystallized tendrils. Their faces stared blankly through cracked visors. God, Thorn whispered. Rhea moved closer. Are they dead? I don't think they ever got the chance. She scanned one suit's ID tag. Lieutenant R. Havelock Recon 1. First team, she muttered. They made it here. And then stopped being themselves, Thorn said quietly. He knelt beside the spire, studying the flow of energy within it. This isn't a signal generator. It's a translator. A translator for what? He looked up at her. Forethought. The pulse deepened. Rhea's vision blurred for a second. Images not her own flickered at the edge of her mind. Screams. Fire. Her own face. Then darkness. She staggered back. It's reaching, Thorn said. Trying to sync. With me. With everything human. Memories. Personality. It learns through proximity. We shut it down. Thorn pointed to a cluster of cables. That junction might be the source. But once we hit it, everything here will know. Rhea raised her rifle. Then we hit it fast. She fired. The shot tore through the junction. Glass exploded, black fluid splattered across the floor. The pulse shrieked, rising into a chaotic wail. The spire spasmed, lights flickering wildly. Then came the noise from the corridor. Heavy. Synchronized. Marching. Echoes, Thorn said. Lots of them. They set charges, quick and clean. As Thorn sealed the detonator, Rhea checked the exit route. Too slow. They're flanking, she said. We need a new way out. Thorn pointed at a fracture in the far wall. There. Cavern system behind it. Might connect to the northern fissure. Might. Only one shot to find out. She blasted the wall. Stone cracked, peeled away. Air gusted through. Move, she shouted. They ran as echoes poured into the chamber. Twisted mockeries in half-human shapes, faces eerily smooth, moving in perfect, silent synchrony. Thorn tossed the trigger. The world behind them exploded in white heat. They dove through the gap as the ceiling collapsed. The caverns were narrow, filled with steam and bioluminescent fungus. Every turn echoed with the cries of damaged echoes, machine-slick sobs from things that couldn't feel. They climbed, crawled, bled. At one point, Rhea slipped on a slick ledge. Thorn caught her with one hand, straining. Don't let go, she hissed. Wasn't planning to. They made it to the surface by nightfall. The ridge above their camp still stood, but the fortress below flickered with movement. Echoes swarmed it, searching, scanning. They found the base, Thorn said. We still have the flag. Rhea climbed the ridge, tore it from its post. Attached it to her back. New plan, she said. We go dark. Guerrilla. No fixed positions. We bleed them with every step. They'll never stop hunting. Then we never stop fighting. She turned to him, eyes cold. They wanted this planet empty. But now it has us. That night, she carved 2 more notches into her rifle. The planet wasn't dead. But neither was she. And now it had a kill count. The mountains gave no shelter, just sharper winds and thinner air. But they gave height, and that meant visibility. Rhea crouched at the ridge's peak, Scope pressed to her eye, tracing echo patrols sweeping the valley. 3 squads, tight formation, rifles slung in perfect synchrony. No chatter. No hesitation. They weren't searching. They were herding. They want us to run south, she muttered. Thorn lay beside her, fixing a micro-drone. Trap. Guaranteed. He flicked the drone into the air. It buzzed like a beetle, invisible against the gust. Through Ria's lens, its feed painted a thermal sweep of the terrain. 3 more patrols in the gully below. Another pair near the wreck of their old supply drop. No movement east. Just rock, heat vents, and ancient, shattered satellite dishes, Earth tech, from before the Empire pulled funding. Looks like they haven't mapped the east side yet, Thorn said. Then that's where we go. He looked at her. What's the plan? We hit their relay tower. The thing coordinating them. It's near the crater wall. If we knock it out, they lose synchronization. Thorn blinked. You want to break the hive? I want to make them think for themselves. The hike took 7 hours, all silent. The further east they moved, the more the world lost color. Dust turned white, rocks glassy. A storm must have swept this side in decades past, flash burning everything clean. The only sound was the crunch of their boots and the distant pulse of the spire, now fainter but still insistent. By dusk, they spotted the relay. It stood like a spear stabbed into the planet, black metal, 4 prongs humming with flickering light. Echoes ringed it in a loose perimeter. Not guarding it, Ria noted. Worshipping. Kneeling. Unmoving. Something's wrong with them, Thorn whispered. No. Something's right. They're offline. She studied their spacing. 1 charge at the base could bring the whole thing down. Too simple, he warned. I'll draw fire. You plant it. Set a 30-second fuse. He hesitated. And if they wake up? Then you run faster. They split at the ridge. Ria slid down loose gravel, popped smoke to cover her descent, and fired 3 rounds into the air. Echoes twitched, then screamed. They charged as one, mechanical howls, limbs snapping into motion. Ria sprinted wide, cutting left, firing controlled bursts. Each hit sent sparks and fluid flying, but they kept coming. Tireless. Joyless. She vaulted a boulder, rolled, came up behind cover. Boom. The relay split with a thunderclap. 1 prong exploded outward, impaling 2 echoes. Sparks showered the dirt. The ground pulsed, then stilled. The remaining echoes convulsed. Some dropped. Others spun wildly, confused. 1 fired blindly into its own kind. A pair just stood there, heads tilted like listening to voices that had gone quiet. Thorn met her behind a ridge, panting. That did it, he said. Signals down. For now. They moved camp again, north this time, toward the buried substation Thorn thought might still hold power. Each night they struck. Quick ambushes. Mines. Lures. Fires timed to draw echoes into ravines. Every hit counted. Every kill earned another notch. 3 days in, they found the cave. Inside, batteries. A solar array. A working terminal, cracked but bootable. Thorn got it talking. This station's linked to the original colony grid, he said. Before the Empire buried the place. And there's a satellite uplink. Ria blinked. You can call Earth? No. But I can ping it. Do it. It took 12 minutes for the signal to loop through the asteroid clutter. 1 word came back. Received. No other message. No coordinate. But it meant something. We're not alone, she said. Thorn smiled, tired. Maybe someone's watching. The echoes began to change. Without the relay, their movements grew erratic. Some patrolled. Others wandered in circles. A few attacked one another. But the core units, the ones fused with the caller's signal, remained intact. Ria knew the connection hadn't fully broken. Only bent. They'll build another relay, Thorn said. We won't let them. She pointed at the crater wall. The ruins of the old observation deck clung to the edge like a broken tooth. They'll go for high ground. Just like we would. They reached the ridge under moonlight. Sure enough, echoes were building, stacking alloy, repurposing parts. No central leader. No instructions. Just instinct. But that meant the caller still whispered. Rhea set her rifle, took aim, and picked off the lead builder. The head snapped back, sparks flying. 2 others froze, unsure. See, she said. Thinking's hard. They assaulted the site over an hour. Small hits, then retreat. Never the same pattern. Keep them reacting. Keep them guessing. By morning, the structure was slag, bodies twisted in frozen failure. But from behind the smoke came a shape. Tall. Armored. Moving like liquid steel. Rhea stepped back. That's new. Thorn cursed. It's not just a drone. It's wearing one of us. The figure paused, scanning, then raised its arm. A voice came, not synthetic. Not metallic. Rhea's own. You left us. But we stayed. Then it fired. She rolled left, missing the blast by inches. Thorn ducked behind a ledge, returning fire. Bullets sparked off its chest. Nothing's sticking, he shouted. It's a mimic. Rhea grabbed an incendiary. Cover me. She ran straight into its path. Let it see her. Let it think. When it lunged, she slid under its reach and tossed the grenade straight at its back. Fire engulfed it. The mimic screamed, not with pain, but fury. Its arm convulsed, fingers melting. Then it turned and fled. Back at the cave, Rhea leaned against the wall, breathing hard. They're evolving. Yeah, Thorn said. And fast. Rhea stared at the uplink console. We hit the spire next. That's suicide. We shut it down, or this planet becomes a forge for things that wear our faces. She unrolled the flag, dirty, ripped, still standing. Tomorrow, she said, planting it upright again, we take the fight home. The spire pulsed like a heart. Black, twisted, alive in ways no metal should be. It rose from the crater's center, humming low, feeding signals into the sky. All around it, echoes gathered, not in squads, but swarms. Hundreds. Maybe more. Rhea knelt at the ridge, overlooking the basin. Her fingers tightened on the rifle. They're protecting it. Thorn adjusted the scope. More than that. They're waiting. For what? He didn't answer. A drone buzzed in, its camera cracked, but feed intact. Inside the spire's walls, wires, tubes, biocircuits pulsing. A central core spun at the base. Above it, strung up like a trophy, was the body of a human. Uniform charred. Face exposed. Lips parted mid-scream. Rhea stared. That's Lieutenant Calder. Was, Thorn said. She looked away. That's what the signal does. It doesn't just control. It consumes. They moved at night. No words. Just hand signals, checked gear, tightened boot. Each step toward the crater floor felt heavier, like the air thickened with memory. Charred armor. Crushed visors. Human remains sealed in echo plating. They passed them in silence. At the base of the crater, behind a ridge of glass stone, they planted the final explosives. Enough to crack the tower's legs if set just right. Timer or remote? Thorn whispered. Remote, Rhea said. We need to be sure. And if we can't reach it? Then we make sure we don't miss. The assault started with fire. Homemade rockets. Trip mines in echo paths. Disruptor charges lobbed into the crowd. They didn't aim to win the battle. Just divide the swarm. It worked, kind of. Echoes broke ranks. Some chased shadows. Others fell into the traps. But the core group, the ones fused to the spire, held their ground. Not blind. Not mechanical. Intentional. Rhea charged first, cutting through the chaos, rifle hot, eyes locked on the tower. Thorn flanked wide, diving between cover, dragging charges with him. The spire noticed. So did the mimic. It dropped from the upper ledge, cloaked in smoke and static. Its human shell was gone, now plated in obsidian alloy, pulsing with the same signal as the tower. Its voice echoed not from its throat, but through the devices around them. You burn your future to delay the inevitable. Rhea raised her rifle. We've burned worse. She fired. So did it. The blast hit her square in the chest, flinging her backward. Armor cracked, air gone. She landed hard. Her vision blurred. Rhea! Thorn's voice, distant. She rolled, gasped, spat blood. The mimic stalked forward, deliberate. You're not built to win, it said. Only to defy. She grinned through broken teeth. Defiance built us. Then she pulled the pin on her last charge and hurled it straight at the mimic's feet. Boom. Smoke and fire. Screams and metal. The thing vanished in the blast. Thorn dragged her behind cover. You good? Ribs gone. Maybe a lung. You still talking? Then I'm still fighting. He handed her the detonator. Your call, he said. Spires braced. Charges set. You end this. She nodded. The crater spun in her vision, echoes flailing, tower flickering. Then the mimic stepped out of the fire, body mangled, head half gone, but moving. She aimed. It moved too fast. The world flipped, pain, heat, then cold. She hit the ground, gun gone. It stood over her, hand raised for the kill. Then, crack. A round took the mimic's eye. Another cracked its shoulder. A third buried in its chest. It stumbled. Rhea looked up. Thorn on the ridge. Final clip. Steady aim. Not flinching. The mimic turned. She pressed the detonator. The spire didn't explode. It collapsed. The charges tore through the base like a knife through bone. A scream, pure signal, ripped through the air. Echoes froze, convulsed, fell. The mimic arched, body spasming, limbs failing. Then silence. Dust rolled through the crater like fog. The pulse was gone. Rhea coughed blood and laughed. Flag still flying, she whispered. It took hours to climb out of the basin. Thorn carried her most of the way. The uplink at the cave blinked green. He slotted a drive, uploaded the footage, and sent the signal. Earth'll get it now, he said. They'll see what this planet cost. And what it earned, she replied. They stepped outside. The flag was still there, patched, dirty, defiant. Beneath it, Rhea painted the final tally. Kill count, 438. She added one more word. Occupied.